Welcome everyone to tonight's Water Pollution Control Authority meeting. Tonight is Wednesday, June 21st at 7 o'clock. We have posted an agenda online. Are there any proposed changes? Joseph?
I'd like to make a motion to move item F and item G under new business up to numbers 1 and 2 in the agenda this evening, considering we have people here and we don't want to keep them.
Second motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ron? Ron? Yep. Okay, great. So, first item in front of us, to hear, consider, and act on a request by the Huntington Company to connect 18 two-bedroom residential units at 250 Pequot Ave to the Fairfield sewer system.
To the big, approve the minutes.
Oh, you know. that's
I
right.
moved it up, but we still have a.
Yeah, strike that. I jumped ahead of the game. First item in front of us is the approval of the May 17th regular meeting minutes.
Motion approved.
Motion from
Second.
Tom, second Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank Joe, thanks for coordinating this. Abstain. Of course. Okay. So, where we just were was the Huntington Company 250 Pequot Ave, and that is to hear, consider, and act 18 two-bedroom residential units. Chris, why don't I turn it over to you? Tell us what's going on here.
Great. Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzio LLC, offices in 10 Sasco Hill Road in Fairfield, here on behalf of the applicant. I apologize if my Wi-Fi comes in spotty. I'm in the middle of nowhere in Montana. So
All right.
it might go in and out. But I really,
yeah.
it's Mike's application, but just to introduce it, the overall project initially. So 250 Pequot Avenue has an existing building on it. This is the building that's right adjacent to the Chase Bank in downtown Southport. So that building is proposed to be demolished in its entirety. There used to be a radiology practice in there, and then since then it's been occupied by Evergreen Capital, and on the bottom floor, closer to the water course, was Connecticut Challenge. So that building is proposed to be demolished, and the proposal, and I can share my screen just to show you how it's laid out. Let me see right here. Switch over to 250. Here we go. So the proposal is to construct a single building that is 3 stories of living floors over a parking level, lower parking level, and it's for 18 two-bedroom condominium units. The total square footage is around 48,000 square feet for actual living area of the building. It's going to be accessed. It's going to be on grade with Pequot Avenue, and if you know that site, there's a pretty steep grade change that will go down to access the lower level parking. So that's the basics of the development. It's just 18 two-bedroom units. We had some flow monitoring done, and I know Mike ran the calculation, so I'll turn it over to him to explain the parts relevant to your consideration. Mike?
Great.
You there? Mike, you there?
Yep. Yep.
Do you want to run through your findings, Mike? And
Am I on? I'm not sure. I don't.
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Members of the commission, my name is Mike Petrella. I'm a licensed land surveyor, licensed professional engineer, and I'm a member of the Huntington Company, and our office is in Fairfield. What we did is we had 2 manholes, 2 sanitary manholes monitored, and we have the results back, and it was EST Associates, and my report was submitted to your staff, and I took the maximum and took my proposed water volumes for the 18 units and submitted it to your staff. And unfortunately, it came back, I had a factor of safety of only 2.5, and I was corrected to say the new factor of safety was 4. So I upped the up the amount of sewage that we were required to do per your requirements, and I still get it that the existing sanitary sewer is capable of handling our proposed 18 units. The existing building there was built in 1950, was just an office building, and as Attorney Russo said, that'll be demolished and a new condominium building will be built. Questions, I can hopefully answer any of them.
I did get the report. I did go through it. They're under capacity. They're fine.
And you had your 1 inch of rainfall?
Yep.
What, it was in January they did it?
Yep.
John, just for information, the pipe in the ground is since 1950 or prior to that?
Yes.
We haven't upgraded anything in that area?
No.
And the calculation was correct?
Yes, I went through all the calculations.
The number that's in there, because I'm gonna make the motion, I wanna incorporate the,
Yep.
read the number to me again, please, 170.
Which
The
number?
I&I calculation, I'm sorry.
I think,
Mike had it in there, I thought.
mhm.
Yeah, and I is,
177. God.
177,623. Sorry.
Is that correct, Michael?
That's what I
The I&I
computed.
calculation.
Yes, that's what I computed. Yes.
177.6.
23.
No questions.
Yeah. It's just processing, it's all.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept.
I would like to make a motion.
Please.
Let me make it, Tom. Please. I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal for the construction of 18 two-bedroom residential units at 250 Pequot Avenue to be connected to the Fairfield sewer system. This approval is for a period of 2 years and subject to the I&I payment of $177,623, which is based on the rate in effect at this time. If the permit has not been issued within the 2-year window, the applicant must reapply.
Well said. All in favor?
Aye. Ron, where'd he go?
We lost them.
We lost
We
Ron.
lost Ron. We have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you, gentlemen. Chris, enjoy the great outdoors.
Thank you very
It's a
much. I
beautiful
appreciate
spot.
it.
Thank you,
It
guys.
is. It is.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Thank you.
Okay. So voting in favor of that was Mark, Joe, Chris, and Tom. Okay. Next item in front of us. To discuss and act upon the proposal of 4480 Black Rock Turnpike Extension. Sir, you are.
Good evening. My name's Avon Bauer. I'm a project engineer at Crucides Engineering LLC. We're based out of Fairfield, Connecticut on Black Rock Turnpike. This project went before you actually 4 years ago. In 2019, it was approved. We originally obtained an extension for an additional 2 years. Just because of COVID and everything kind of slowed down a little bit. And then, in the last 2 years, we've since gotten wetlands approval on July 6, 2022, based on this site plan here in general. It's for 150, multi-bedroom units. We did, 3 monitoring locations throughout, manhole 15 to 14 on Black Rock Turnpike, which was at 36% capacity with our included flow. Manhole 42 on Black Rock Turnpike was at 42.8% capacity, and manhole 5 to 4 on Creckanoof Road was at 13.8% capacity, all downstream of the project. At the moment, we're working on architectural plans and refining everything to submit for the next step, which will be planning and zoning. And we're asking for another 2-year extension if you guys would be willing to grant it. And I'm absolutely here to answer any questions should you have any.
Let me just ask you, could you, spell your name for the record? Sheila,
Yes, yeah.
Sheila's on there.
A-V-I-N-D. Last name Bauer, B-A-U-R.
Great. Sheila, you can thank me later for that.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones, so.
That's great. Comments from the commission? Ron, welcome back.
Thanks.
Where is this on Black Rock Turnpike?
This is up north of the Parkway. If you keep going, it's up on the right where there's a significant
Yeah,
property slopes from this side here down to a wetlands pocket, right? You
and
kind of
that's where you're doing all the, excavation work now?
Yeah.
The blasting and,
No, I don't think they've
That's
started.
across the street, that's a different project, that's
Yeah,
coming.
this is on the right-hand
This
side.
This is on the, this is on the east side.
Envision him
Correct,
being
yeah.
the hi-ho.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
And
north.
that's, and then the rest
Yeah,
of it
against the
is to the
hill.
right.
yes, it's the big hill basically that comes up.
Yep.
Right before it starts
Yeah,
drifting
they
to
had
the right.
drainage problems, and there's a stream that
Yep.
goes through there, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
That is
From 2019.
Yep. Yeah, it took a while to get through conservation because of all that.
Long grade, there's a concrete wall, you turn the corner, and then you get up to
Yeah.
a little yeah, okay.
Yeah, you got it, yep. There's that tiny little fork in the road on the right that you can go over the bridge and then you're at the pond in the back.
So you
The
did-
pond's way back over here.
So you just mentioned in your opening that you have 150
Multifamily, which was, I think,
right, it used to be, when you first came, it was
Yes, yeah.
150 two-bedroom.
2-bedroom, yeah.
Has that changed?
No, they're all gonna be 2-bedroom for the time being.
Okay, the way you said it this time is
Yeah,
different than
it's a
2019.
maximum
What I'm looking
of
for,
150.
let me ask the question directly, what has changed, if anything,
Nothing.
from the scope of this project from when we heard it in 2019?
Yeah, nothing has changed in that respect. They're all 2-bedroom units. 150 is the maximum that we'd be proposing at this time.
And this is just, because I'm new to this commission too, so just a general question. This is before you go to P and Z. You're getting the approvals for,
So, yeah, in order to go, because this is gonna be, I believe, an 830G
correct,
application. So the first step would obviously be you guys, which we did in 2019, as an approval for 152 bedroom units. We've since gone to conservation with this building footprint, driveways and, parking lots and whatnot, and gotten approvals through them. That was last July. And just because it's 150 units, it's a pretty significant structure, so they've been
Yep.
working on their architecturals for quite some time.
and you're not before the P and Z yet?
No, not yet, but we anticipate being there within this next extension if possible.
And just general question, so you're here for the so many 150 units times 2 bedrooms, the gallons for that. And, but how do we know what you're gonna totally use if you're not before P and Z?
So at the time that we would be going to P and Z with finalized plans, and once P and Z issues their approval, we'd probably come back to, I don't know if it would necessarily be the commission, but we'd certainly speak with John Clancy and let him know what our final unit count is, and then calculate the I&I there. For these purposes, the maximum that we could really propose realistically would be 152 bedroom units, which is why we calculated it like that. And there's a chance that it may reduce at a later date, but
Yeah,
this would be the maximum that we'd be proposing at the time.
and then just general question is that, what would the commission be approving for the total gallonage then? Because if we know their maximum, we don't know what's gonna get approved yet, what would we be approving?
Typically, we approve the maximum. If they decide to build something bigger or different, they've got to come back to us, because the approval's only, and when I would say it, the approval's only for 150 two-bedroom units. If they change that, they've got to come back to the office, or to, if it's significant to us, and if it's significant enough, they've got to re-CTV it. So we go for the maximum in the pipes, so we're covered from that point of view. We've always done that.
Yeah,
None of these
but I
pipes
don't
are
know,
even above 50% capacity.
yeah, I hear you, I'm just saying, well, why are we giving the maximum when we don't even know what their end goal is, though?
Because we,
Yeah, I'm just general.
yeah, we have to come up with something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the process is sewer connection is really their first step.
Yes.
If they don't get our approval, planning and zoning, except for one exception, they don't wanna hear from us,
I hear.
from anybody, until they,
And in some towns I'm used to, they do it the other way, they won't even look at it until you have planning and zoning, but then there's an issue because
right, if it doesn't fit the sewage or
You're-
wherever the other commissioners
you're really
are.
out of luck.
Right,
So
because
really-
this is really step one, it's always
Yeah.
been that way.
The first gate. Yeah, really you go for the maximum, so this way, you know, we could have a building design with 150 units, and planning and zoning could say, we need this, and we have to chop it up and do things.
Mhm.
At that point, we're coming back anyway, so we'd never go above what is realistically feasible for the lot, basically.
Are you this side, are you still south of the reservoir?
I think the reservoir is right back over here, everything kind of slopes in this general direction, towards these wetlands.
It's just kinda odd to me, I don't see the reservoir, on the- you know, it seems on Black Rock Turnpike.
Yeah.
Top of the hill.
There's two, I think there's a lot here and then another small lot before it gets to, I don't know if that's the reservoir you're thinking of, but there's a pretty significant pond, that would be
Yeah.
right about up here.
But then the Aquarian Reservoir is north of that, if you keep
Yeah,
going
this-
straight.
yeah.
This
Keep
is
big,
the Aquarius
big.
easement right here, so I imagine a lot of their service comes from that reservoir.
Oh, okay, okay.
So in my mind, we looked at flow data when this was presented to us in 2019. Has there been any significant development in that area that would impact that flow data?
4185 is the one across the street from the Hi-Ho.
Yeah.
And we approved that one. I took a look. If you look at both pieces together,
Mm-hmm.
it still fits within the capacity. I asked John if there was anything else that happened since 2019, and the
No.
answer is no, nothing along the Black Rock
No.
Turnpike. So those two projects were approved, and the capacities haven't changed, so we,
Now, across the street, is that a medical office?
supposed to be. Well, originally,
There is.
originally, I thought it was gonna be, condominiums or apartments or whatever this was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be the same, but I'm here, through the grapevine, through a friend of mine who lives up in Greenfield Hill, Hunt, which is above it.
Yeah.
She's heard it's a medical building. Now, why they haven't come back to us, we gotta ask our office. Maybe they did come back to us, because I think we approved that more than 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
But they're building, I mean, there's construction, there's work going on. I came off the Merritt the other day, and there's
A lot of
work going
blasting.
on.
Yeah.
Plant factory's gone. Yeah, that's the lot they're building on.
I should've got Phil while I had a chance.
I know, believe me, there'll be full money coming up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I did write my notes. 4185 Black Rock Turnpike had 72 two-bedrooms and 32 one-bedrooms. And they came to us in January 2020, and we approved it.
Well, hopefully they paid the I&I based on that.
Well, I don't
We'll
know.
find out.
Yeah.
I asked the office, and I haven't heard anything if they've pulled a permit yet.
Okay. Well,
That's
subject to
nothing-
I was
this.
gonna say, yeah, it sounds like all kinds of fun.
4480 Black Rock Turnpike. Any more comments, questions? How about a motion,
I'd like to make a motion
sir?
to approve the proposal to construct 150 two-bedroom units at 4480 Black Rock Turnpike to be connected to the Fairfield sewer system. This approval will remain in effect for 2 years, subject to an I&I payment based on the rate in effect at the time the permit is issued. If the permit has not been issued within this 2-year extension, the applicant must come back and reapply.
And we will certainly do so if need be.
Second from Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
Looks to be unanimous. Nice job, Mr. Bauer.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
Thank
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You as
You
well.
too.
You're welcome to stay.
You know, you're having so much fun, but I probably expecting it.
Everybody laughing.
Okay,
Go back.
back to the regularly scheduled agenda. We have to hear, consider, and act on a reimbursement of an I&I fee paid at 48 Berkeley Road. And John Bodie, if you could explain this to me, I would be forever grateful.
I spoke to the gentleman that built the house there. Apparently, 48 Berkeley didn't exist until a couple of years ago. It was one big parcel, which was 50 Berkeley. They split the parcels, and Mr. Lagana built a house at 48. When they dug down, they found a sewer lateral to hook up to, so they did. They paid an I&I fee, and now they're saying they shouldn't have paid an I&I fee. The way I read the I&I rules, if you change flow to an existing pipe, you are subject to A, flow monitoring, and if that is suitable to handle the flow, then you're on the hook for an I&I fee, but they seem to think not.
Have we had anything like this before?
No, this is the first that I could recall as far as an overpayment of an I&I fee, so this would be virgin territory.
How much are we talking about?
6373.
Yeah, I was just gonna pull that up, yep.
So, I would like to point out two things.
Please.
It sounds like we might have an inconsistency in our I&I policy. Under the first paragraph, as I read it, we say, any property that increases its development over its existing status, resulting in an increased effluent discharge to the sanitary sewer system, and when such discharge is over and above the existing discharge, the property will be subject to all or part of the following requirements, I&I calculation, which is what John just said. So that's the beginning of our policy.
Yep.
Another paragraph in the policy gives you the definition of I&I. The definition of I&I is this charge will be assessed to any new applicant wanting to connect to the town of Fairfield sewer system where a lateral is not available to connect to. So it seems to be inconsistent in my mind as far as a policy goes. So at best, disregarding this current situation, I believe we need to address our policy so that it doesn't come up again. But those are the two inconsistencies.
So was 50 Berkeley, was that subdivided into two lots?
Yes,
Okay, so the new house, in my mind, one of the two pays an I&I fee for the new connection. So did 50 pay?
50 was owned by Julia Smith.
Yeah.
She subdivided and she cut it in half basically and sold that parcel to, I spoke to Joe Lagana. He's the one that built the house. He's the one that dug down and found a capped off lateral for the house.
And the house is 48
48 Berkeley.
Berkeley, so
Yeah.
it's a new house
It's a new house.
built on that lot.
Yep.
And he found the lateral.
He found the lateral. John Clancy went out and looked at it. He okayed the connection. He came in and paid the
Help me understand the lateral, but that's the thing.
The connection to the pipe.
Yeah.
Sewer pipe, lateral from your house.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
but if it's, that's where I'm confused. If it's a new house, they subdivided the lot, there wasn't a house there previously.
correct.
So how do they find a lateral? It's kind of,
There are laterals out there.
I guess they are.
I guess there was foresight when they laid the main sewer line in there. They said, maybe they'll subdivide one day and
There's
let's
room for another house in here, let's put a
Yeah.
lateral in there while
Okay.
we're.
That's the only thing I can
But
see.
under that argument, they should have been, I mean, we have a policy that's saying that you should be paying an assessment.
They probably did.
No, they didn't. There's no chance they,
But when that sewer line was put it was only one lot. It was one lot.
it was one lot with.
So they only
potential
should have had one lateral, but then whenever it wasn't constructed, probably in the 50s, whoever it was just put 2 in, saying there's probably gonna be 2 lots here
At some point in time.
at some point.
Yeah.
But I would assume that when they put them in, whoever paid the connection fee then. But
Well, there wasn't a connection to the 48 then,
then,
only the 50 connection then, because there was only one house then. So this is an
I could argue it both ways.
This is an interesting one.
If there's a lateral to hook into it, why are you gonna pay extra? But then again, if it was only, I could see if there was 2 lots. I could see if there was 2 lots and there was a existing lateral and they connected them, then I would say that's,
Well, think of the
There.
precedent that would set for any developer who comes in and says, I'm gonna do a new, I mean, what if Metro Center came in and said, we're gonna build this apartment building, and, oh, wait, there's a lateral that somebody had put in at some point in time. So as a result, we don't need to pay.
but. Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, Ron.
Hang on. But if they
Some
subdivided it,
network problems, I had to call in.
and there was a lateral there, why, I would assume that it's a new lot, they're gonna have to connect it and pay the fee. If it's a new lot,
Through a new lot created through a subdivision.
then you have to pay.
I think that's where we are right now.
Suppose for the sake of argument, there was no lateral there to be found, and.
Then we'd have no problem. He'd pay his fee.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, so the fact that lateral's there is, that's serendipitous.
Yeah.
And,
They save money that
and why should we excuse his fee simply because the builder had the foresight to put something in?
Well, we also have a policy that
Right.
if you choose not to, if you're on a sewer line and you choose not to tap into that, you're still being assessed. Right?
Only on new, only if it goes past, only if it's like a new, if it's like a new sewer line, you would be assessed.
Why would you be assessed if you just had a sewer in the system
Because-
in the street, you weren't connected to it? We assessed you by your being
Let
connected to the sewer.
me pull it up.
No? Or do I not?
No, I
This is,
believe
hey,
the
this is
software-
Dennis. Can I jump in for a second? Since I helped
Hi,
you guys
Dennis.
write that? I
Hey, Dennis.
It's inconsistent, Dennis.
The purpose of the
I wish I
I&I
figured
fee
this
is to offset what they're adding to your system. You're supposed to use that money to remove that same amount from the system. So the simple fact is they're adding flow to the system. They were not connected before. They need to pay the fee. And that money is used to pay to remove the same in-kind amount that they're contributing. And that was the whole
Yeah,
purpose of the I&I fee.
Yeah, that might have been the purpose, but that's not the way the policy at this moment reads.
It's an interpretation.
Where a lateral is not available to connect to. If that wasn't there, if we just crossed that out, and I would make that recommendation to change the policy.
I see what you're saying. That's just get out of jail free card.
Yeah. Applicant wanting to connect to the town of Fitton, period, without where a lateral is not available to connect to, I'd say he doesn't get a refund. However, my argument, and his argument, I assume, is there is a lateral and he connected to it, therefore, he doesn't need to pay the fee, the way the policy currently reads.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it reads.
I understand. It's kind of like he got lucky by there
Yeah.
being a pipe there, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, I got lucky by the way this is worded,
Yeah.
that, I mean.
Well, now we know Dennis created this.
Hey, you reviewed it, Joe.
Just admitted to it. But I also can see Mark's point about setting a precedent.
Yeah.
He's adding flow to the sewer system. It was only one lot. He's subdivided. He's adding flow to the sewer system.
And that's fine. And if it was adding flow to the sewer system, I'd say yes. But when it says, but there's a lateral.
But usually,
The intent and the policy are not consistent.
but usually if there's, there's a lateral only if there's a lot. There was never a lot. It was one lot. He split it into 2.
I understand it.
Yeah, but the rate it's worded where a lateral is not available to connect to by virtue of the fact there was a lateral, he gets out of jail free.
But there shouldn't have been a lateral there.
That's correct.
We have no
Theoretically
control over
shouldn't have
that, yeah.
been, but this is the situation we're in.
Yeah.
We're only adjudicating this point.
Yeah.
That's this guy, this point. I mean, I'm gonna make a second motion that we change the policy wording to eliminate that word, so, you know, to address Mark's situation where we don't wanna set a precedent here.
I'd love to know more about the lateral, but I'm on the side where he, to use Tom's words, he gets a free pass, he gets out of jail. You know, I think it's poorly worded. Fix that. Okay, so,
Have a quorum? I'm voting against it.
yeah.
You should pay.
I agree.
Well, so do we have a motion? Do we have a motion on the table?
No, we don't have a motion on the table. To hear, consider an act on reimbursement of the I&I fee paid at 48 Berkeley Road.
Is that just not kind of redefining the first paragraph? This fee must be paid to the sewer, this charge will be assessed to any new applicant wanting to connect to the town of Fairfield sewer system,
But then it gives you a definition of I&I.
where a lateral is not available to connect to.
Right.
He's adding flow on a new lot.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
How do we know, I would think we should leave it up to our discretion. How would we know there's a lateral there?
Well, it's in principle,
I don't think that's
Did John,
I think
Plan
we're
to
all
go out
agreed in
and
principle
inspect
that he ought to pay.
when they
The problem is this wording here.
so,
but he's adding flow to the system.
Yeah, but he can hang his hat on these words and say,
John Clancy went out there
Yeah.
and inspected it and allowed the connection.
so there was a lateral. That's the point. That's the answer to your question. There was a lateral there.
yeah, he can hang his hat on that.
Yeah, I just get, it's a $6,000 issue, but I just wonder how many other laterals are out there that,
Well, I think,
yeah.
whether they're out there or not, I think
I
we
wanna
need
just
to
close
address
that
changing the
loophole.
policy
Yeah.
so
It's
that
an open switch.
we don't,
Open switch, yes.
So what was the amount?
73 and change. Let me see.
How would this refund, if we vote for this refund, John, how would this happen?
I don't know,
Do you have any idea?
no idea.
It doesn't go through the tax, this one doesn't go through the tax collector, I don't believe, because I&I is collected separately from our taxes, we don't even have a mechanism, I don't think, for, through the town to cut a check to this guy.
Right.
63,
So what do we
73,
must?
62.
What's the rest of it, 63, 73?
62.
62 cents.
Yes.
Thank you. So, we need a motion?
I know I'm gonna regret opening this door, but I'm gonna do it anyways, but I thought there was an aspect of the policy that if the town puts a sewer line in and someone chooses not to tap into that line, they still get an assessment for the town putting that line as it goes past their property.
So, Carriage Road, that would happen if they didn't connect all the properties are assessed.
No. The fifth, that sixth house was not assessed, and he won't, based on our policy, he won't be assessed until he decides to connect to the line. But we did I think they put a lateral there.
They did.
So
So he's got the lateral,
Great.
But if we change
the policy, he's not gonna be,
Right.
But then the thing is that he could just hook up, so in 10 years down the line, is he gonna have to pay the
yes, the
full
original cost.
Yes.
The way
The original
our
cost.
policy reads, the original, what the others,
As long
it's
as someone remembers that.
in the
It's
policy.
in it's in there.
And David,
Okay.
David
All right.
Pazuski is on top of that,
And,
as far as that goes.
and they put a lateral in because it's the right thing to do, and
Yeah.
it's easier to do that.
We just need to fix this
But
policy.
But then they did the same thing there, saying, well, it's a double wide lot, even though it's only one address,
Right.
it's probably gonna get done in the future.
Right, they probably did.
But then, we didn't know that. Well, I could read the policy both ways. He is increasing it.
Yeah.
The charge will be assessed to any new applicant wanting to connect to the town of Fairfield sewer system where a lateral is not available to connect to. There shouldn't have been a lateral there. There was
Correct.
one lot.
Yeah.
We're not arguing, yes, I'm absolutely agreeing with you on everything you said.
In principle, we're all on the same page.
We're on the same page, we're agreeing.
Yeah,
with
the
you.
crazy thing is he come in and put an 830G on that lot and make the argument that, you know, he's.
But then he would have increased. Either way, you'd have increased.
Well, we haven't, you know.
We don't want to
Yeah,
get involved in
don't-
830G
I don't think
at
we
all,
wanna go.
that's not in our
Yeah.
perusal, that's not our.
Yeah.
Leave that to the other commissions.
So I
Right,
just reread,
so-
you guys added that statement. That was never in the original one. When was that added? The definition of INI was not part of the original INI abatement.
Yeah.
It was
I
added in
can't tell you what-
2020, so I'm not taking credit for that.
Dennis, we're only teasing you, Dennis, relax.
right,
There is no date on this, but,
Yeah, it's under Brian Carey and.
yeah, there's no date. It says revision
So
August
I
26,
think that you
2020.
should give this guy a refund. It's not, it's a technicality in the language, and you're gonna have to change the language. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Was that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to add Dennis to this.
Yeah, let's,
Okay, where is this?
let's, make a motion to,
Oh.
Do you have the motion?
no, go ahead. I don't have the number. Who's got the number?
6373.62 is the number,
63.
73 and 62 cents.
So I'll make the motion to refund $6,373.62 to the applicant at 48 Berkeley Road.
Second.
Second from Tom, all in favor?
Yeah.
Looks to be unanimous with some grunting.
Snatching, et cetera.
Now, to change the policy, Joe, I think we have to post that. I don't know that we can.
Gotta have a
add
public
that.
hearing, right?
Yeah.
You sure?
No, I'm
I'd
not.
like to ask Mr. Baldwin that question, because we revise this policy all the time, and we revise it for the rates, obviously, and we do have a public forum for that, and we post it in the newspaper. So, I would like to ask Mr.
Notice, yeah,
Baldwin, our town attorney, that question.
sure.
Thank you, Joe, for doing that.
So that's a follow-up.
Okay, let's, continue on to the update, Wright Pierce 2023 INI study. Dennis, thanks for joining us.
Oh yeah, no problem. Nice to see you guys. I haven't seen you in a while. I've been seeing a lot of John Bodie and the plant guys lately because with the digester work, and I thought it would be a good time to come in and go over where we're at on this project. So, just a 2-minute rundown. I'm going to start from day one. We were issued a purchase order in August of 2022. At that time, we anticipated the project to take about 10 to 12 months. So we were originally planning to complete it around August of this year, and we're still on schedule and budget to do that. The smoke testing, we smoke tested 13 miles of pipe in August of 2022. In October and November, we inspected 240 manholes. In November, we did 5 days of building inspections where we entered buildings to look for sump pumps. Then we took a break, and over the winter, these can't really do this work when the ground is frozen. Although this past winter, we probably could have did some. We picked back up in March. We did 27 miles of flow isolations in the system, trying to track down infiltration in the middle of the night. We did it between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. Then in April of this year, we did dye water testing of, we had 7 catch basins that were smoking during the smoke testing, but we then dye tested those to confirm if they're actually connected, or sometimes smoke kind of travels through the ground and gets into the catch basin system. So we did that in April, and we started televising the sewer pipe in this month in June. A few weeks ago, we started. Vortex is in town, and we're slated to televise about 13 miles of pipe, or 65,000 feet or so. And to date, we've done about 30,000 feet. And I haven't spoken to Mark in detail, but it's my understanding that they're finding things every day. They're finding leaks and cracks every day. Mr. Bodie, is that a correct statement?
Yes, sir, it is.
So we should have a lot of
Any
good
big hits?
information for you guys in August when we'll wrap it up. But this CCTV work is the last phase before we write the report. So that's where we're at.
Tease us with a big hit. Yeah, tell me like what would be on the cover of I News? Like Brenda's newsletter, what would we
Unfortunately, we haven't found like, a 4-inch diameter stream of water coming in that would solve all your problems, but we're just finding a lot of little stuff, a lot of, 2 to 4 gallon a minute leaks and some cracked and broken pipe that potentially could be a structural concern. So again, I haven't sorted through it all yet. There's going to be a lot to sort through, but that's where we're at right now. And I know they found a lot of stuff on Fairfield Beach Road, the sections that we hadn't lined the first time. We did line some of that a few years back. So, yeah, lots of good stuff to use your I&I money for eventually. The fix.
And there's a 2-foot section of pipe missing in one spot. I mean, go on.
Fairfield Beach Road?
No, I don't know where it is exactly, but.
Because somebody took it.
Somebody took it, I don't know who, the tooth fairy or whatever, but.
So Dennis, help me. Obviously, this is phase 5. We've got $400,000 in John's budget for next year to do I&I correctional work.
Yep.
Talk to me about how far that will go, because we're going to set our rates, and this might have an influence on our rates if we want to try to raise some more money.
Yeah, so in my mind, I think you get the best value for your money if you tackle one type of repair. For example, you want to do $400,000 and do all pipelining. You don't want to do like a couple feet of pipelining, fix a couple manholes, do this over here, do that over there. You get the best value if I would just do, we have to prioritize the defects, but the leaking pipe would be priority 1. So, you could probably line at 400,000. It's a good start. I can't say.
But if you had 600,000, you'd be able to find a place to improve I&I flow.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we can give him any amount of money. He's got enough. We might want to.
Yeah, Dennis, to me, the biggest I&I abatement project is the East Trunk Interceptor project.
Yes.
That's gonna be, pick a number, 10 million, I don't know what. How do we measure the amount of, is it easy to measure how much I&I comes out of that redevelopment?
I mean, the only way to really know is if you have to put put flow meters in pre and post lining. And it has to be for long enough of a period so that you could make a comparison. So that's the only way really to do it. So if you have flow meters in, if you're getting, 4 million gallons average daily going through the East Trunk, and you have 3.4 the next year, then you eliminated 600,000 gallons a day of flow. I mean, that's really the only way to know.
Yeah, but do you also have that development going on over there? How do you handle that in your calculation, just on the flow?
Oh, right, I understand. Yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, I'm sure you could you could account for that, but that'd be tricky.
Look at their water usage. I mean, they're not watering plants. I mean,
Right.
This
Yeah,
is
with the
not a
new.
science-
Yep.
This is not a scientific way, this is not a proof positive, but being at the plant long enough and seeing the summertime low flows being 6-7 million, and now we're seeing 4 million as low flow time. I mean, in the heat of the summer a couple of years ago when it was really dry, I mean, we had 2.5 million coming in at night, which is unheard of ever.
Yeah.
I mean, usually it's 5, 6, 7, it never.
Flushing their toilets?
So the work
No,
we've,
you're saying that's I.
the work we've done since we've started, since phase one, we've made an impact, but I can't give you exact numbers and say, but just by me seeing the low flows, we're doing something positive.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You guys are very proactive compared to a lot of towns, so you're on the right track.
And Dennis, you mentioned something about sump pumps.
Yes.
And you've entered houses. What have the people said? What do they say when they have an illegal sump pump put in? Anything?
We don't use the word illegal because it it causes problems. We just, I don't think we found many, to be honest. You guys are more, you guys are more cracked and broken pipe and, manholes with holes in the top that get flooded. But yeah, I mean, we don't, if there's any sort of resistance, we don't enter the home. But we did pretty well in Fairfield. I think we got into like 100. We had like a 50% entry rate. So that was pretty good. Yeah, so that's what's going on with phase 5. Phase 4 is completed. I think there was one section that they never did last year, but they're back out. I think, John, they're doing it. Did they do it, or are they doing it next week?
We did it June 12th, I thought.
Oh, that's right. They did do it June 12th. So
Yep.
That's
So I just did
finally
the invoice
closed.
for the retainage, that's all.
Yep.
The request I sent you today, yeah.
Working on it.
Okey doke.
My last comment is, Dennis and John, it'd probably be worthwhile to give Bucky a heads up on this.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis.
Preliminary rate discussion, sewer fog I&I, our CFO master. What do we have here?
Okay, well, I put in the backup some numbers. The good news, I think, is I got the preliminary numbers from Aquarian, and our usage is not down compared to the last set of numbers I got. So basically, we're looking at usage that's slightly down, but really no effect on the rate. We need to cover $7.7 million. John just spends a lot of money on his budget and everything else that goes on, but we need to cover that. And I started in your scenarios, if you look at the backup, at $4.85, which is our current rate. And that would not be enough to generate the $7.7 million. You can see that would generate $7.5 million. It'd be short about 150. So we need to raise the rate. Okay? And I put down a whole series of numbers. For some reason, we were always told it has to be in nickels. I can't explain it. I don't know why. I don't know where it came from.
Billing.
Yeah, but so I put down nickels increases, 490 through 525. It could go higher, obviously, but this is just preliminary discussion because it's got to come up in August. We have to have a special meeting and whatever. And you can see the increases, 1% to 8%. So at 495, which is a 2% increase, for example, we cover the $7.7 million.
Yep.
I should have brought, I didn't realize what you guys were looking at it.
I don't know if it was in the backup.
John is.
I am. You got it? You got it in the back.
It was,
Mark?
I have my spinning wheel here.
Was it in here?
I was in the backup that you got. So
What's labeled?
So this is based on last year's operating expenses
something?
Spell?
Fourth one down on the, in our email,
Oh, I don't know.
but rate development,
John,
WPCA.
how do we get comfortable in looking at historical operating expenses and carrying them forward isn't
Okay.
that difficult?
Sure.
This is.
But what about
First
all the
don't work,
things
so
that are
right.
keep breaking?
We could go on forever.
That's,
Yeah.
that's,
Just want to get a flavor.
that's the dark cloud hanging over our head. The stuff that keeps breaking is either going to be out of the fund balance, or we try and take it out of our operating budget, but, I mean,
Is there a smarter way, I mean, we've had a whole gaggle of special meetings over the last year and a half to cover stuff that breaks. Is there a more thoughtful, kind of methodical approach to saying that we know next year 3 or 4 things are gonna break, or we're gonna need generators, or, and put those in the budget so that we don't have to have these special meetings?
we could certainly try to do that, try and,
So can we do that?
Well, there's a problem with it, obviously.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, you gotta get it past these, I'm assuming they're gonna be big numbers if we're, you know, John's not gonna sit there and say, oh, I need $10 here and 20 here. He's gonna say, I need 500,000 for an agitator. I need 350 for a generator. I need this, I need that. We're gonna get stopped at the town bodies.
Well, for instance, we were asked to put in the digester clean out for next year as a
Right.
separate line item.
Correct.
So now that that's in the budget, we don't have to go to the committees, right?
we do.
We do.
Oh,
That's,
geez.
that's why it was put in on that account. It was put into a special account that has to get approved. It was put into 5,700. 55,000.
Joe had made mention when we were discussing the budget, let's put that in there in the operating budget so we can do it next year. Fine, we did that. The decision was made to take it out, so now we have to go, I have to come to you, then I have to go to Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and the RTM.
Is there a dollar threshold?
Basically, I'm gonna say 100,000, but there's no policy that says it's gotta be 100,000.
Like if someone, like a new, like pickup truck.
Oh, that's,
You can put in to your capital outlay up to 100,000.
right.
Above that, then you're,
Okay.
Then you're going to all the commissions and all the boards.
Do we have that in the budget now, the 100,000 for, capital outlay repairs and maintenance?
Yeah, we have
What
a
do we
whole
have?
series of items.
yeah, we have
in
a
there
series of.
that adds up to 365,000. We're not in the right building, we're in the plant. We got the fire thing in the, I can't go through it in my mind.
Fire alarm for 50,000.
Right, we have a whole series of things that add up to
Spare pump for Eastern
360.
Turnpike, 2 new plant water pumps, a bypass silent, pump system.
But do you have any extra for OSHA?
Nothing for OSHA.
Oh, no, I mean just OSHA.
No,
Oh, shit, I'm sorry, they said OSHA. We don't want, Sheila, strike that from the minute.
if it's over $100,000, I can't,
But can we put something in just for emergency service or emergency maintenance for 100,000?
He's got money, extra monies in some of the accounts that will cover us. For example, this year, we're covering the consultants we're using for operational audit, and we're covering the chemicals he's using for the smell out of his operating budget. I mean, that adds up to over $100,000.
But like, to Mark's point though, is that like a lot of times, all of a sudden you're saying to us, hey, I need this, is this okay? And instead of, even though, yeah, we kind of move it through, it's easier for you to put something in the budget to say,
there would be nothing, I would like nothing more than to pad the accounts to the hilt, because I don't wanna keep coming for money, and I don't wanna keep going to the boards and saying, I need money for this, I need money for that. Well, what is the health of your fund balance, and why do you keep hitting it? Why aren't you doing capital plan? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Joe and I thought we were doing a good thing by putting in the $375,000 for the digester, and it was not.
yeah.
That one out.
Okay.
So
Good try.
we have to have enough foresight to say, okay, we're gonna do the secondary digester cleaning, let's go to the commission, let's go to the board of selectmen, go to the board of finance, so we can get the money before we say, okay, now we're gonna go out to bid and go that route. So it just adds more, but
Okay, so go back to the fees. So we have a range, but it, you know, Joe, it surprised me that, or maybe I missed it, in terms of the debt service and amortization.
Yeah, about it. This is the first year we're seeing a significant number in there, right? What about it? What surprised you, how? $428,000 for debt service, interest and retirement of bonds.
428.
428 for this year coming up. And we get that number, we don't calculate that number, we get that number from Caitlin, from the town.
Yep,
Accounting
right,
department.
yep.
And what's next year?
Next
The
year,
The following year?
You know what, I have the
I
whole
mean,
amortization.
I'm getting at, does it spike at all?
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
because as we finish projects, right, we issue as a town, bond appreciation notes as we start the project, and then those notes get turned into 20-year bonds. So we're paying interest on the notes to begin with. So we've got, the two big projects out at, Metro Center, and we're still gonna be paying, obviously, the Sacred Heart Pump, and we have one other fairly large one. What is it? I can't remember, but yes, the number will be larger next year, no question about it.
Oh, the hardening.
The hardening, yes, our share of the hardening project, and we might have the siphons depending, but that's a small number, that probably was just a blip.
And we still have like 12 million in cash.
We have 15 million with about 3 million, identified as ongoing spending that we've done. So say we have 12 million in our fund.
Okay. What's your thinking in terms of what you think the rate should be?
Personally, I think we should raise it probably, I hate to say the 8% to 5.25%, but I'm looking at 10 years out where we need to be servicing the bonds for the plant. And I'm trying to build to that number.
Mm-hmm.
And at that 10-year out plant, we're out of, and I've got the full spreadsheet, guys. We're, you know, with all the projects and with all the spending we're doing, I sent it to you, Tom. You've seen the preliminary ones and the ones I presented to the Board of Finance.
Sure.
So when we get out 10 years, we're out of fund money. So I'm continually suggesting we keep building into that fund.
So the median user would pay about an extra $35.
$40, yeah, it's rough number.
What did we increase it last year? It was like 5.
We went from 465 to 485, so I believe it was closer to 5. I don't remember the percentage. I think that was somebody, we were going
Yeah.
lower and then
I think we
did the same argument, let's build a fund.
You gotta build it.
I mean, this is the preliminary discussion, obviously. I just wanted everybody to hear 5.25 gets us an 8% increase.
What are we thinking about FOG and I&I?
Yeah, I&I we raised this past August. I would make a although it's not reflected on our revised, this piece of paper. I know John Clancy has it posted in his office.
And it is on the website too, but
Yeah.
that whole website needs to be overhauled.
Yeah, I would recommend my recommendation is we did it last August. It hasn't even been in effect for a year. I would say let's hold off on any I&I increases. That's why I was asking Dennis if he had more money, would he have more projects to do? What's the value of that? FOG we haven't raised for probably 3 or 4 years, the FOG permits, and I think they're $100.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't hurt anybody if we made it 125. There is 123, there are 400 establishments in town, but we only charge the FOG permits to the I'm trying to think, it's class 1 or class 4, one of the classes.
Yeah.
And there's only 123 of those last I looked. So we're not talking about a lot of money. I think it's $12,000 on our revenue line. So those are the things I just wanted to sort of talk about, what the feeling is. We're not doing anything tonight for sure.
And the only one thing is, like, even with I know we just raised it, but I think we get a really good bang for our buck.
I&I, absolutely. I&I is the big money,
And I
no
think-
question.
And I think for that, then at least maybe we don't need to do so much. We're gonna have to upgrade the plant, but maybe we look at it a little differently where if we start reducing our flows, and if we're looking at reduction in flows, not increasing in flows, maybe the plant costs go down. So,
Yes and no, because the original plant design was not, it had no increased capacity. That was that was one of the rationales for the INI. Let's reduce coming in so we could build the same plant on the same footprint.
yeah,
So,
some of the stuff is like the INI I see is that most of the stuff I see coming forward is all 830G with all the apartments, and most of the sewer lines were not, in my mind, I'm like, it is what it is, but most of the sewer lines were not meant to be, like up at Greenfield Hill, who would have thought you're gonna have 250 units up on 58, putting all in the sewer. So I think they should be paying a little more to support the increase that they're doing with the INI. And I think that would only help the system in the long run, help them out, because then at least, you know what, you can get more units, because maybe down the run, at least maybe we're reducing our flows, you don't have 80%.
I think there's two aspects of that. One's INI, and one is your ongoing annual rate, which at some point in time, I think we will have a bifurcation of that. I just don't think it'll be this year.
yeah, we're waiting for the consultant. I thought that's,
Commercial by residential.
yeah.
Yeah, and the, you know, the weight that you put on the system. So, you know, volumes and, you know, that's not cutting edge. You know, other towns have been thinking about this and doing that for years now.
Sure.
But, yeah, hopefully we'll get some good advice on that. So, so you guys don't hate the end of the night. Let me push forward. Joe, thank you for your work on that.
So you guys will give me some sense as to whether you need recommendations on FOG and INI. Definitely, we'll use, we'll have this one as our basis for,
Joe, I think
Great.
you're right, we need to get ahead of it, we don't.
yeah, well, we gotta build it.
Okay, yeah, I think you and John have done a great job in educating the various constituencies on the absolute amount of money that the WPCA is gonna spend over the next 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
So whereas before the focus was always on our fund balance, it's now
Right.
a broader spectrum. So discuss the connection of 1899 Bronson Road to the Fairfield sewer system. John, where are we with this?
They came to us, they're looking to add on, they're in an area where there's not a sewer line really close, but close enough. It was an old bank building that they're running their business, they're landscape architects, they're running that out of there. The thought is to put a few stories on, put 3 bedrooms in, and connect to the line. They wanted to know if they had to do flow monitoring, and we never really said yes or no, but I don't know how we can say, no, you don't have to. So they started it in May 24th, I think. They haven't caught a half-inch rainstorm yet, but
That's 10 days.
Yeah.
They're getting ready.
Yeah, well,
why, you're gonna get
Forecast.
right. Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
The beach cleaning guy knows that it's gonna rain just about every day for the next week.
he started the flow monitoring just because he wants to move as soon as he gets everything, all his ducks in a row. So he's not close yet, but he's coming. So he's got a plan as to what he wants to do. He's sent me a map, and it's not really detailed, but it's 3 one-bedroom on top of this old bank building that they're gonna make 3 stories, so.
That's right next to that closed market in Greenfield Hill.
Yeah,
just down
exactly.
the street from it.
So how far away is he to the line? What I'm concerned with is the precedent, or your terms, as to how far can people build from where they are to our sewer line?
It all depends.
I don't think we have a policy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you have a map?
no, I'm not, this is a general question. I'm not asking about him personally, but
It's his responsibility from the house to the line. So if he wants to run it 4 miles, he can run it 4 miles. It's his
as
to
long as,
maintain.
so here's my question. If there's somebody on 3 acres, as long as there's a sewer line in front of their house, but their house is way back on the property or whatever,
If he wants to
They
pay to
wanna-
get it there and he can get the pitch he needs, I don't see why we wouldn't.
well, that's my question.
Yeah.
Do we have a problem with that?
No, we did it on Sasko Hill, right?
Yes, we did. we let them, that development hook into.
What is the line on Bronson Road?
Yeah, you know,
That would be maybe 100 feet.
Oh, okay.
yeah, you know,
So it's on the road, he just has to go
Yeah.
lateral to connect.
he's got a septic tank right now, so he would
And,
bypass that.
yeah, he's got a septic and he's got a stream right, it's a small lot and there's
Yeah.
a stream
Right
right
next to
behind it,
Yeah.
so. I'm all in favor of getting that.
There's a little veterinary hospital there, right? Is that right?
There used to be, I don't know if it's still there.
Okay.
So there was a Jehovah Witness facility that was knocked down and is being rebuilt into a vet hospital.
Okay.
That's right across. the
That's
street.
what's going there, it's the vet.
Okay.
So it's just on your radar as far as that
Thank
goes.
you. Review, discuss, and approve sewer adjustment at 868 Mill Plain Road. That's all the insurance adjustment items, right?
Lots of backup.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but none of it,
That was expensive.
none of it is the correct backup for us.
Right.
I asked Dax Department to send us
Prior bill?
the prior bills.
Yeah, that's
And we
what's
didn't get 'em.
missing, yeah.
And we did not get them.
He did send us Aquarian bill, and if it's hard to tell, but if you look at the previous,
Yeah, no use.
Yeah,
very little usage, and I think they were at the minimum 150.
well, that was my question
Yeah.
too, actually.
Right, and we never got a solid answer from Dave.
So the background on this is, it's an attorney, it sounds like the woman might have been older, and she sold the house, and the attorney on the woman's behalf is asking us for the refund based on the fact that there was a break in the line, and it looks like a lot of water was used, and the aquarium's showing that.
Yeah,
The aquarium bill is even strange, it's showing December.
yeah, they shut the service off after that, after the leak. They shut it off. They
And
didn't
then,
turn it back
and then
on
they didn't
until,
turn it on until that next
Six-
next January,
June.
or June, sorry.
They didn't turn it on until like this month.
Yeah,
Yeah, 6.
What happened, the basement flood?
oh, yeah.
Oh,
Right. They're,
Looks like the whole.
Yeah, they sound like they rebuilt the house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they rebuilt the whole house.
So, I mean, if we assume that the woman was at the minimum,
Mhm.
we could do this, we can do this.
I agree.
So,
Yeah, I would say yes.
okay, so if you wanna do it, let's
Work
do
your
it.
magic, John.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to refund, let me do the calculation. Her bill was $6,093.83, which I got from a different source, so. To credit the account for 868 Mill Plain Road in the amount of $5,943.83 due to a significant leak that has been documented as repaired.
Second.
Second from Chris, all in favor? Looks to be unanimous. Thank you, Joe, for spearheading that.
Thanks, Joe.
So there's an indoor pool now?
Yeah.
Underground
Okay.
indoor.
So we're going on to old business. Discuss Brooklawn Park Association connecting to the town of Fairfield system. Is there anyone from Brooklawn Park Association with us tonight? Okay. So we had a discussion on that maybe at the last meeting or the one before. There's a lot of variables there in terms of, how intent they are in pursuing this. I don't wanna spend a whole lot of time kind of rehashing what we discussed before. It's what's the status of the pipes, camera them on their dime, so we're not hiring the consultants, find out what their commitments are to the city of Bridgeport, et cetera, so ball's in their court.
It's been in their court, we
Yeah,
were
it's
just
in
waiting to
their
hear from
court.
them.
So the only
As
thing I
it was
would add,
like 8 years ago, and the ball never
Right.
left their court, so let's,
they didn't get the answer they wanted, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I guess my only concern is Fairfield WCPF should not be
Should not.
doing any work
Right.
on any of those pipes. They belong to Bridgeport,
Right.
I would imagine. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, we don't even know Bridgeport will consider releasing it to Fairfield.
That's
not even been established.
No, that's what Mark said, we don't know.
Out of courtesy, in the past, we've gone out there. It's probably, averages out to once a year.
But I'm just worried about me personally,
I
the
understand.
liability of it.
I
You
understand.
know, somebody
Yep.
obviously gets hurt on it, or they break something out
Right.
there.
Right,
Fairfield's on the hook.
right.
So my feeling is we shouldn't be doing that until this whole thing is
I agree.
further resolved.
I agree.
Here. Okay,
Okay.
let's keep going. Status of consultants doing operational audit. I don't know if anyone has an update from Matt.
They haven't even been there. I haven't heard from anybody.
Have we hired them?
No idea. I have gotten no
I
word
thought
out
it
of
was
it.
closer to being done. That's what I was kind of hoping.
Nope, I haven't talked to anybody, haven't seen anybody, nothing.
Okay.
All right, I'll follow up with Matt and ask him to give us an update in July. Discuss and approve up to, Joe, what's that number?
$784,000.
I thought it was 200.
No, it was 430, the original. The original.
784 for the replacement of siphons at Turney Bridge.
And I asked for a guarantee on that, on this number.
Yeah?
And the answer was, yeah, right.
I stopped by and looked at those. Those look like they go back to World War II.
So, I did get a response from the engineers at, Ty and Bond.
Yeah?
Thank you, John. And the one, I really don't understand it, and I sent it over to Matt, and unfortunately Matt's not here. But the thing that catches my eye, and I'm not an engineer, obviously, the third pipe, which is bringing it up to the $748,000, the third pipe is redundant. And this is from, their engineer, from Bill Hurley wrote to their engineer, asking, do we need a fourth pipe? And the answer to that is, if the town wanted to add yet another pipe, that's referring to a fourth pipe, the pipe sizes would get smaller, or there would be simply two redundant pipes. Now, in English, that means to me, we still only need two siphons there. And I'm really confused, and the engineers confused me more with that answer. Redundant.
Is Christine or someone else interfacing with, is this conservation? Megan. All right. So why don't we ask Megan to talk to us in July?
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think you gotta go to Bill or Boss, or go directly to her. I'm asking that.
I'll go to Bill, and he can delegate.
Yeah.
But that's what I sent over to Matt. Matt should be able to answer that question as to.
Okay, yeah,
What redundant to me means
great to have that extra.
not needed. Not needed, redundant.
Well, you got belt and suspenders, but you got another belt going on, but, kind of odd.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's move to the update on current projects. We have, first, the Carriage Drive sewer extension. That's moving right along, right?
It's done. Carriage Drive was done, the main sewer line, the laterals, manholes, 3 weeks, 5/15 to 6/2. Temporary paving was placed over the excavations. The final paving will be done in September or October after 3 months of settling.
I thought, I didn't think the town wanted to pave it. They got on the list?
Whatever, I guess they're doing the trench that was there.
Okay.
So there's temporary paving over the trench, and they'll do the final pavement in
And who did that, Burns?
Burns.
Yeah, fantastic.
They burned right through it.
That's great. Joe, I'm sorry.
No, the only thing I was gonna ask is, do we have a bid on the paving? Do we need to get that approved? But it sounds, did you just say the town's doing the paving?
No, that's why I asked.
It's included in the contract, the paving, everything.
Oh, from Burns.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
That's what I
that's
think.
really terrific.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
Primary digester. Did we miss our opportunity for the internal tour?
Yes. It is now, well, wait a minute. I can
They
offer
have a
you.
submersible. They have a submersible. Yeah, we can go in there.
I'm not getting it. No.
They have a submersible.
The yellow
You got enough
submarine.
oxygen, don't worry, it'll be okay.
We can lower you in the hatch. It's filled with water, and it's heated right now to 96.8 degrees.
Really?
Yeah. So it's being circulated, so we could offer you a weekend sauna.
I gotta tell you, with the weather forecast right now,
There's a cover, there's a cover. Just drop down in, go under the cover, you're good.
Now, hear me out, we're gonna lower you into the, are you gonna hear me out?
So it was pressure tested, it was filled with water, it's now being heated. There were some additional work that needs to be done. The waste gas burner that is connected to the digester that burns off the excess methane gas that is produced was rotted pretty bad. But with all those change orders, once they're executed, the final contract value is about 1.35.
Perfect. We approved 1.75, if everybody remembers, so we're covered.
We were supposed to be.
for that.
Yep.
We were supposed to be purging the oxygen out this week. The contractor that's doing it pushed it ahead to next week. So my hope is that by a week from Friday, we'll be starting to put sludge in there.
All right, that's the cutoff.
We've got a gentleman from Wright Pierce that has been in the business for 31 years. He's done large plant startups, he's done digester startups, he's done just about everything. This guy, he told me never call him an engineer because he's not an engineer, but he's got the experience, he's got the know-how, he's got the forthright to, I mean, he's on the ball. So he's there Monday through Friday as long as we need him to get the digester going.
Great news.
And the equipment, the deodorizing equipment, is that
All
part
right.
of that digester one, or is that?
There's
I know it's over by the.
deodorizing equipment along the upper part of the digester.
Number
Both.
one.
Both.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The compost building and dewatering.
Cool.
It
Hopefully
is.
it works.
I was down there, it smells fine.
It's a cinnamon flavor that we've nicknamed it Shitamin.
Hear me out.
It's working well.
All right.
It's working
Now,
well.
we have momentum, let's keep going. Fairfield Pump Station and Force Main.
Okay, RFQ for design for all 7 was advertised May 6th. In May, 6 firms responded. Selection committee reviewed and submitted ratings to purchasing. The top 6 are here: Weston and Sampson, Ty and Bond, Woodard and Curran, Wright Pierce, D&B Engineers, H2M Architects. All the engineers will get together with those and start interviews hopefully next week.
Great.
Bill Hurley and Christine are off this week.
So we anticipate one firm?
Yes. And if the firm excels, then we'll give them more. If they're then we'll go to number
Move to
2.
the next.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
East Trunk Wetlands Replacement.
Contract went out to bid, May 16th. Pre-bid meeting was on the 25th of May. There was only 2 contractors there. The bids were due today. There was one bid submitted by B&W or whatever paving, for $7.4 million. What purchasing and the town is gonna decide to do, I don't know yet.
Okay, more to come on that. East Trunk Line Phase 1.
They're getting the bid documents together. I know Mega was furiously asking for information today, so I don't have much other than they're working on it.
And that,
But that one's gone through all the boards.
Yep.
So everybody knows.
Yep.
okay. Agitator Dolly portable generator.
The agitator and dolly are slated to be delivered by the end of next month. They did send me a picture of both last week and, wasn't very promising looking, but I have all the faith in them in the world, so.
What do you mean it wasn't promising looking? What does that mean?
It's just 2 metal shells, basically. So, there was.
You don't believe there's any stuff inside?
There was no hydraulics, there was nothing. But I know that they're still waiting on parts.
Oh.
Parts they ordered back in May when we gave them the purchase order. So a lot of the stuff is there, they just have to get it together. BDP is a great company, so. Portable generator, I went to the RTM for the final approval last night, they vote on Monday. So I don't see an issue with that.
This is the 125?
250.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is the other what happened to our generator that was gonna be on a truck, portable generator?
This is the one, the portable.
Yeah.
And we approved 250?
No, we approved 125,000 for a 250 kilowatt generator.
Oh,
Sorry.
Sorry, okay,
No,
I'm
we-
talking dollars, you're talking kilowatts.
kilowatts,
Okay,
yep.
sorry, same thing.
So I had the government pricing updated just today, and it's still pretty close to what we
Okay,
had
no,
back
good.
then, so.
Yeah.
And they also approved the transformer, and the RTM will vote on that on Monday, so I contacted the guy we're buying that from to tell him we're almost there, so we're moving along.
I mean, it's pretty, if I recall correctly, it's a fairly, compelling financial plan, because you can determine the number of, I think it's less than a year it would pay for itself.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
So, I mean, that's the case, and I don't
Yep.
think anybody will walk away from it.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially we're gonna start with the pump stations. We might,
Right.
we might need it.
Yeah, I know.
No, we're gonna need it, because when we're going to replace a generator, you need to rent one. Well, we've got one.
Right.
Right, it's a compelling financial argument. and,
Yeah.
Any bypasses?
No, sir, other than
Great.
Strathmore, but that wasn't our fault.
All right.
You
Motion
have
to
to,
adjourn.
you have to report that.
There was nothing that went into it.
Nothing went into this.
Motion to adjourn, coming from Ron, second by Chris, all in favor? Aye. Ron, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.